Hello, you're welcome back. So it's time for part 4 of our creative agency website design series in Figma. In the last episode, we finished the desktop homepage, which was like taking forever to complete, but thank God we are done with that. And today we're starting the mobile version. So what we are going to be covering for today is we're going to take everything we designed for desktop and translate it into a clean, responsive mobile layout that still feels premium and consistent. So if you've been following the series, we are halfway through and things are about to get really good. So make sure you subscribe and have the notification bell on so you don't miss the next part of the build. So let's jump right into what we have for today. All right, so you're welcome back. So now that we are done with the homepage, we're going to redesign it so that we can see how it's going to look on mobile. And we're also going to adjust some of the components. So to do that, I'm going to first of all bring in a frame. That's a phone frame. So I'm going to go over, okay, I've already selected that. So I'm just going to go over to iPhone 13 mini. Let me select that. Okay, now that we already have iPhone 13 mini, I'm going to push it here and then have the distance to the, let's just say 80. And then I'm going to drag this to the bottom and then go back to the top here and change this to home page. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do now is to select this, copy this, and then paste it inside of here. So one thing I want you to notice that the nav bar is going to be different from what we currently have on the desktop. We're going to have like a different nav bar for the mobile. So until we get there, let's just keep on moving. So we're going to change this to the size of our mobile screen, and this is going to be on fixed. We don't want that to move. And then this is going to, so to do this, I'm just going to bring this outside so that I can work on it before we push it back in. So for this, I'm just going to change this to like, let's change this to probably like 40 and see how that looks. Or let me change it to 24. Hopefully it looks good. So I don't know how it's going to look. So I'm going to select the entire frame and change the layout to this and change it to 20. And then we're going to reduce this. All right, as you can see, it's not actually responding to this. So what I'm just going to basically do is to change this to fill. All right, so when we adjust this, it's just going to reduce. I think I like the way this is. So I'm just going to leave this until, yeah. So we're going to push this inside of here and see that how that looks. Change this to like 40. And then let's try changing the layout to this and see how that works. Okay, in as much as I like this, I think we'll have to reduce the buttons. We'll have to have like the buttons for like mobile. So for the buttons for the mobile, I'm just going to duplicate this. Hopefully we don't need any other button as time goes on. So I'm going to change this to like 14 and then select this and probably reduce this to like 16 and reduce this to like 16 also. Or maybe this can actually be 12. So same thing here. I'm going to reduce this to 12 and then this and this will be 16. Alright, so I just want this should be centered. So I'm just going to center this properly and center this properly, and we're going to rename this. So I'm going to drag this down a bit so that we'll have some breathing space. So for this, I'm going to call this mobile CTA. and I'm going to copy this. Well, you know what? We are just going to, yeah, let me copy. Or you know, instead of doing it this way, I think there's another way that works better instead of doing it this way. But that way, we're going to create like more component properties for this. So I'm going to delete what we've done before. All right, so I'm just going to stretch all of this. So we are going to duplicate both of this. Okay, this is primary and this is secondary. So we need one more property. So we need like a variant, and that variant we are going to call it mobile. Or let's call it breakpoint. And then here will be default to be like desktop. So this will be desktop, this will be desktop, and then this will be primary also, and this will be mobile. And then this will be, what did I call this? I call this outline. So this also will be outline. But in this case, it's going to be, the breakpoint is mobile. All right, so now that we have this, I'm just going to edit this. So I think this is the best way to do it. So now we can now adjust everything inside. So for this and this, I'm just going to change it to like 12. And for this and this, I'm going to change this to like 16. All right, so now that we have this, I'm just going to select both of these, center it properly and center this properly, and give it a gap of like 20. All right, so now we can easily go back here and make that adjustment. So both of these, we're going to change them to mobile. All right, so now that we have changed them to mobile, we can now leave them to be as they were before. And this time around is going to be 16. So there's something I didn't tell you about the mobile breakpoint. Well, let's first of all create like the layout grid for mobile before we continue. So select the home page, which is like mobile. So I'm just going to push this to the front so that we can work on this. So I'm going to quickly add them inside of a large frame, which I'm going to change this to websites, and I'm going to convert this to a section, and then change the color. All right, so this is what I want. So under this section now, we have just these two, so that I can easily focus on what I'm doing. I don't like as I need to close a lot of layers before I find this, so I'm just going to leave this at 200, and this also at 200. So now let's go over here now and continue with this. So for this is already 800. I want to maintain this 375 800. So for this now, I'm going to add auto layout to this, and then the padding should be like 20. Top and bottom, I'll just leave it at 0. I'll decide what I want for the top and bottom. So let's push it down here. Okay, this is not inside of the hero section. Oh, I get now. So now we're going to adjust the hero section again. So this is going to be 375, and this is going to be 800. All right, so now let's just use like maybe 40. I think 40 looks good. And this we'll change this to fill. And every other thing should be fill inside of this. So even the buttons, we're going to change them from hub to fill. And then let's quickly set up the layout grid for our for the mobile. So I'm just going to change this to colon, and the standard for mobile is 4 count, and then we have like margin of 20, and then gutter of like 16. So I just like the way their hands are like together right here. I just like the way it looks. So just like the way we built the desktop, we'll add the nav bar later on. So let's continue. So I'm just going to copy this also and come here and paste it inside of here. So since there's already a delay on this, I'm just going to change the direction and change the width to like 375. And then we're going to change the padding to 20. And then the top and bottom should be like let's use 50, and for here also let's use top and bottom to be 50, please. So we are going to maintain a consistent top and bottom margin or padding of 50. So for this now, I think it's too much, so we're going to reduce it to 20, and then I'm going to select this entire frame and change it to fill, and this I'm going to reduce this to like 24 also. So one thing that I like to also do for the mobile, since we're actually going to be designing for mobile, I'm going to quickly change the prototype settings so that I can start seeing the mobile version. So we are going to use iPhone 13 mini, and then I'm just going to preview this so we can see it right here while we work on this. So while we wait for it to load, I'm just going to continue working on this. Oh, I think we just disconnected that. Let me select it again. Alright, so this is how it looks. Although it didn't fill the screen, I don't like the fact that there's still like a little space here. So you know what, let's just add like 12. Let's change this to 8 to 12. Because I think that's like the standard for this. So 8 to 12. Alright, so look at how it filled the screen. This is exactly what we want to achieve. So if I select this now and try to scroll, okay, I kind of like this, but I think like the text are kind of like too much. Let's try to reduce this to 18 and see how it looks. Oh, 18 doesn't look bad. Or we can bring it down to 16. I think 16 looks too small, so I think 18 looks okay. Oh, let's adjust this before we move on. Alright, so you know what, let's just bring this in. I'm just going to copy this and select this. Select this. Let me select the home page and paste it inside. So now that we have this here, just like we've been doing, although I'm just going to detach this because we're not going to work like that. I'm going to detach this. I'm going to also detach this because we don't need any animation. We don't need any scroll animation here on the mobile. I want to see all the logos. So I'm going to change this to just like what we've always done. So I'm going to add auto layout to this, and then the both side will be 20 to follow our margin, and the top and bottom would be 50. And then this and this, we're going to change it to downwards. Alright, so just like, we added like a kind of like auto layer inside of this. Let me turn this off. Later we'll view it. So our target is logo. So I'm going to copy logo and then select infinite scroll, paste to replace. Then select this and select this, paste to replace. So now that we have this, I can now change the direction and change this to this. And then we can now select both of this. So it's kind of like much for us to actually display this entire logos here. So how many logos did we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, we have 13 logo. Okay, I think it's just more like a repetition. So I'm just going to delete the second one because it's a repetition. So I'm just going to delete the second one. And we just need like 13 of this. Alright, so let me see how many we have. From here we have one. I think this appeared like twice. This particular, okay, it's not the same. I think this appeared twice, so I'm going to delete one. Alright, is there any other one that appeared twice? Alright, so there's no other one that appeared twice. So I'm just going to reduce this. and make sure it fits this particular margin. So we want it to just fill just 2 columns, and then I'm going to hit enter to select all of these and change them to fill. Alright, so one thing before we move, since we have like 12 here, we want to have it like 6 on both sides. So I'm just going to change this to like grid, and then I'm going to change this to 2 here, and this will be like 6. Alright. So I'm going to fill this. Alright, so let's quickly change this to 375. So I'm going to push this here. Oh, why are we still having like, okay, I thought we had like 13. So I think this is good. So we want to see all the logos, and so this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So all right, I think it's still displaying this. So this is going to be 6, please. All right, so now that we have this, I think we are done with this particular section. So we already have this section now. So the next section that we're going to work on is this particular section. So we are going to have like a double variation of this particular header text here, so that we can have like one for mobile and one for, so I'm just going to push this to the top a bit. Okay, let me draw this downward instead and move all the logos. Alright, so I'm just going to add a variant to this and call this mobile, and this is desktop. So for mobile, I think we should have here at this is okay at 16, but this can just be like 24. So this is mobile. So I'm just going to go back, and then let's try to swap everything and make it mobile. So I'm going to change this to mobile. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to add now is this section. So I'm just going to copy this section and select this particular frame here and paste it. So now we have it. I'm just going to push it down. So I think we have actually been working on this thing on our own. So I'm just going to add auto layout to it shortly, but let's work on this first. So I'm just going to zoom in. So, and this is going to be like 20. So the reason why we are always adjusting our padding, the left and right, to 20 is because we want it to follow our mobile margin. So you see the distance between this and this is like 20. And then we will now come here and change it to 375. So I think the reason why it's so easy for me is based on I already know how I structure the layout so that it can respond that way. So this is already like on a horizontal layout. So we're just going to change this to a vertical layout. So changing it to a vertical layout right now, this is what we now have. So this is currently on a fixed distance, but we're just going to change this to hog. Although we have like one more missing. Okay, I don't know why that is, so I'm just going to change this to hog and see how that plays out. Why is it responding that way? You know what, we're going to fix that very soon. So I'm going to change this to, let's change this to mobile. And then we're going to change the entire frame to 375 to our mobile breakpoint, and then this is going to be changed to fill. Alright, so and this is also going to turn to fill, not hog anymore. So this is going to be fill, and this is going to fill this too. Alright, so since we already have this as this, I'm just going to use scale to scale it down. So I'm going to scale it down to 335. Let's see. So 335 is the workable area currently in our frame. So I'm just going to, the rest of this is just going to be centered, and this is going to be centered, and this is going to be centered. All right, so now that we have this, same here, we're going to scale this also to 355. Oh no, 335, not 355. So finally this, I don't know why it's acting weird. I'm just going to look into it and change this to fill first, and then we'll look into it. So for the stats, we have like two things inside of the stats. I don't know why it's looking like that. So I'm going to change it to hog and see that one comes out, and change the second one to hog. All right, so we already have two of this already. So inside of this, everything should be fill container. I'm going to hit enter and also change this to fill container. So this is currently what we have so far. So we are going to add auto layout to this very soon. So before we move forward, we need to have like a variation for our mobile. We need to have this sort of variation for our mobile screens. And so to do that, for the mobile screen, we don't need anything like the zoom out or the zoom in effect. We don't need that. So we are not going to worry about that. So what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to stretch this, or so this is like the main components. This is the main component. So this is for testimonies. So let me keep this at 100 gap, and then everything should be aligned to the left. So this is going to go down a bit. Very soon I'm going to arrange all of this, but for now let's just build. So this is for our frequently asked questions. So I'm going to put this inside of a frame and call it testimonials. Yeah. So this is everything for testimonial. This is frequently asked questions. And this is for services. Let me quickly sort that. So I'm going to do the same thing here and change this to services. Services. All right. So, but this is going to be a little darker so that we can actually see what we are doing there. I think this looks great. So I'm just going to push this down here. So these are all the components that we've created. At least we've grouped them into different sections. So this is still going to be here. Then I'm going to drag this a bit so that we can create for desktop, for mobile. Create a version of this, and this is just going to be mobile. So I'm going to hit K. Oh no. So I'm just going to hit the K on the keyboard to scale it down. So I'm going to hit K to bring up the scale panel, and this is going to be 335. Alright, this is how small it looks right now. Although we're just going to change the text and everything to make sure it fits the mobile. So this is going to be like 16, while the description is going to be like 12. And this is going to remain 24. Alright, so now that we have this, I'm just going to select this and push this to the top. And now we're going to name this. This is going to be mobile. And this is going to be for desktop. Alright, so since we already have this, it's now time to come and work on this. So for this, I'm just going to, add auto layout to the entire frame. So this is going to clip, then I'm going to just drag it again. So make sure that there's no gap. Currently we have like a gap of 10. So I'm going to remove the gap. And then I'm going to select this entire frame. So this entire recent work, I'm going to copy it and then I'm going to select this, duplicate it, and then paste to replace. So now that I've pasted to replace, you see how it looks now. So we are going to gradually edit everything. So first and foremost, I'm going to change the alignment to top left, and then just like we always do, we're going to do right and left 20, and then top and bottom 50. So now that that's out of the way, we are going to change this now to mobile, and then we are going to change the entire thing to fill. All right. So let me see if fill is available. So now the next thing we are going to do is to change the layout to vertical, and change this layout to vertical. And then this will turn to hog. Okay, this is already on hog. Okay, I think this should be on hog. The entire homepage for the mobile should be on hog. All right. So now that it's on hog, I'm just going to have to select all of this. Select this and this, change it to mobile. Then select this and this, and change it to mobile. Alright, so we have that ready. So now that we have this, the next thing that we're going to do now is to work on this aspect of this project. So this aspect of this project is going to be quite different from what we did here. Because this is going to stack on top of one another, so we are not going to do it like the way it's this whole hover animation we added here is not going to work here. So while reworking this for the mobile version, we are going to remove it from auto layout. So, or instead of doing that, we can also even create like a mobile version from here. We can decide to create a mobile version from here. So if I want to create a mobile version from here, I'll just have to duplicate this. I'll just have to duplicate this one. So this one, I'm just going to add a variant that looks like this. So this one is just going to be mobile. So one thing about this is that, remember, our mobile is like 335 or so. So we're going to reduce this to 335 and change this to this, and then we're going to make it like 20, probably make it even 12, and then let's stretch this so we can see everything that we're working on. And now the padding looks too much, so we're going to reduce it to like 20. That's the top and bottom padding to be 20, and this I'm just going to reduce this to like 16, and this is just going to be maybe 14 or something, or we're just going to leave it at 14 looks okay, or let's just reduce it to like 12. All right, so now that we have this, let's make sure that's on hog, and this is mobile, and this is like let's just change this to state, and this is like hovered, and then this is like the default state, so let's call it desktop. All right, so since we have like these three variations, it's safe to now come over here and copy this particular frame, and then duplicate this recent work so that we can paste to replace. So I'm going to paste to replace it. And now that we have it at this, first of all, we change the centered alignment, and then change it to like 20, and then top and bottom, don't forget 50. And then I'm going to hit enter and unselect this. Let's just select this and hit enter, and then change this to mobile. Alright, so this is already on mobile, so we don't have to stress too much anymore. So this is going to also change to mobile. Alright, one last thing is to change it to fill. Alright, so we already have this now. This is how this looks. This looks amazing. And so we're just going to move to the next thing. So the next thing that we're going to work on, let me see the corner radius. The corner radius is okay. Probably we can just leave it at 16. That looks too much for mobile. So now that we are done with this, the next thing to work on now is the testimonials. So to work on the testimonials, we're just going to duplicate this. We don't need to have like a mobile variation for the testimonial. I think this should be able to adapt. So I'm just going to paste to replace, and let's start the editing. So I guess there's no auto layout on this. We didn't add auto layout to this. So let me just quickly add auto layout to this. Now this already has auto layout, but this doesn't have auto layout. So we're going to add auto layout to this. Hopefully nothing gets scattered. Alright, so everything still looks intact. So the left and right padding will be 20. The top and bottom should be 50. And then we're definitely changing this to mobile. And we're changing this to fill. And then for this, we're also changing this to fill. But there's only one problem here now. We can't do this because I think the best thing to just do is just to select this. So to select this version of this, we're just going to select that, come over here. I'm just going to select this and, change this to fill and change the distance of this to 335. Let's just reduce this. Let's reduce this so that we can actually have like two things visible. Let's use the key, the scale to scale it down. So I want two to be visible like this. Then I kind of like. So let me change this to 200, just like I did right now. And then I'm going to stretch this. I'll change this to fill. So it's already on fill. So now that we already have this on fill, I'm just going to bring this out. I'm going to bring this out and see how that looks. So let's see. Let me quickly check how I created this. Let's see. Alright, so you know what, we're just going to leave this on the hog. But I'm just going to create like another frame. And this will be like mobile testimonials. What did I name that? Let me check what I named this. So, okay, testimony infinite scroll. So let me call this infinite scroll mobile. So now that we have this, this is going to be 335. And then I don't know the height of this. This is like 200. So I'm going to change this to 200. Alright, so I'm just going to push this inside of here and push it to the left and top so that it fits in properly. And so now that we have this now, I can now start the whole process. So I'm going to make this a component and then add a variant and add another variant. So this, I'm going to hit enter and then center it. And this, I'm going to hit enter and this should be the last one. So now I'm going to just quickly come over here, change the prototype. I want to quickly text this. So I'm going to change this on after delay. And this is going to be 1. And this is going to be linear. And this is going to be 10,000. Alright, so we have that already. So this is the next one. Just going to push this. And then come over here and after delay, linear, and then this one is just going to be instant back to the top. So this is going to be after delay, and this is going to be 1, and this is going to be from smart enemy, we'll change it to instant. Let me confirm something quickly here. Let me see what I did here. Okay, yeah, I didn't change it to 1. Alright, so now that we've got this, I'm going to copy this and try to put it inside of here and see how that looks. Alright, so we're going to move this here. This is right here for mobile. So now that we have that, let's quickly play this prototype to see what we did here. So let's preview and see if that works. Alright, so it works, and then all this is no longer, active. We've deactivated them. Alright, so now that we have that, I think the final thing that we need to work on now is, okay, we still have like we still have this to work on. And to work on this, I just need to actually create another version of this for the mobile. Where do we have that? Okay, all right. So now that we already have this, and then I'm going to select this and move this like this, like so. And then this is going to be 335. And I'm going to hit enter to make sure everything fills this. I'm going to hit enter again. No, let's change this to fill. One after the other. So this is going to be fill. All right. So, but one thing is that this is let's change this to 16, and let's change this also to 16. Then this should be like this is okay as 14, and I'm going to give it like a little gap. Let me see the gap between this and this. Okay, it's 20. So I'm going to move this one forward so we don't mix them up. So this one is for mobile. So we're going to add one more variant here, which is we're going to call it breakpoint. Oh no, I set it as default. So I'm just going to edit that and change the value as desktop. Alright, so this is automatically desktop, this is desktop, and this should be mobile. And this should be mobile. And this should be false. And this should be true. Alright, so now that we have this, let's see if this works. So we are just going to go over here and quickly work on that. So I'm going to duplicate this by holding Ctrl D and then collecting this, copying this, and paste to replace. Alright, so the first thing that we always do is to change the padding to 20 and top and bottom to 50. Then we're going to change the layout to this, and then this should be like 20 or 40, I don't know. 20 looks okay. So let's try something else. So I'm just going to change this to fill and then select this and change this to mobile. Alright, so we already have it at mobile. So this is how it looks on mobile. And this also should be mobile. So this is mobile. Alright, so now that we have this, I'm going to quickly create another variation for this. So this, we're going to create a variation for this for mobile as well. So let's quickly preview this before we continue. Alright, so now that we are done with this, I'm going to scroll down here and then I'm going to make this a component. So this was not a component all this while. So I'm going to bring it out here and make it a component and then create a mobile version of this. So I'm going to duplicate this. And first thing first, we're going to change this to like 20. And then this is going to be like 50 top and bottom. And then I'm going to do this first. I'm going to change the layout to this. And this also, I'm going to change the layout. Alright, so now finally we're going to change this to 375. Alright, so one last thing. First, we're going to change this to like 20. And then I'm going to firstly, I'm going to change this to vertical layout, and the button, I want the button to fill the entire area, and I'm going to center everything. And this is going to be a gap of 20, and this also is going to be a gap of like 20. Yep. Or we can as well just center everything. Let me see how that works. So this, I'm going to change this to fill. I guess it's not fill. Let's move this to the center and then hit enter and then fill everything. So now that we fill everything, this also just going to hit enter, let's change this like 24, the gap to 24. So I think this looks okay, except from this. Or you know what? I'm going to center everything. I'm just going to use like a center alignment for everything. Let me hit enter on this, and yep. So this is going to be centered, and this is going to fill, center. We're just going to see how that plays out. Alright, so now that we have this, I'm just going to copy this, and then I'll duplicate this and paste to replace. Alright, so this is what we finally have. Let me preview the entire thing and see how it looks. So let's try adjusting the gaps a bit. So for this, I think I would like 16, and then 16. And this also for 16. And this, I think this is okay. So this one looks okay. So this also, I'm just going to see what we can do for this. And let me see if I can do 12 and see how it looks. Yeah, at least some breathing space. So this still works here. And then, so this is what we have so far. So this looks great and this looks very good. Although I would want this to have like a little space in. So this is going to be like 32. Alright, so one more thing before we end this particular tutorial. So we are going to add like a side drawer nav bar for this particular mobile. So I'm going to select this. And then I'm going to make this a component and add a variant. And this variant is going to have like a white background. And then the text are going to be black text. Now, so this is what we want. So now that we have this, I also want to have like another variation for the mobile. So this is like on a darker background, something like this, and the coming pages are going to be like on a light background. So this is what we are going to be using. This is the second version that we're going to be using. So I'm just going to duplicate this. So I'm going to bring this down, and this should be 100. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce this, but let's just stretch this first so that we can see all the areas. All right. So now that we have this, I'm just going to delete this and delete this. We don't need it. And then we don't need this also. And then I'm going to change this to 375. And then we are going to add like a little auto layout to it. Then this is going to be 20. And let's see, stretch this to 375. And this is going to be here. So now we are going to add like an icon, like a side drawer icon here to make this possible. So to do that, I'm just going to go over here and add one more icon. So keep stacking your icon. Don't get tired of stacking your icons. All right, so we are going to search for menu. All right, so this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want exactly. And now that we have that, I also want like a cancel button. So I'm just going to select this, duplicate. And then I'm going to change this to like a close. Let me Alright, so now that we have this as close, the next thing I'm going to just do is select both of them and go over here, create multiple components. So I'm going to select this, copy this, and then come over here. Where did we create that? Okay, so I'm just going to select this and paste. Alright, now that we've pasted this, and I'm going to change the color from here to white, and this also, I'm going to change this to white. So this, I'm going to change this to, instead of gap, the gap should be 10, I'm going to change it to auto. And then we're also going to change this to auto. Alright, so now that we have this, this is what we are going to replace with this. I'm going to paste to replace this. Done. And then I'm going to paste this inside of this. So this, remember, this is going to be like in absolute positioning. So I'm just going to change this. I'm going to hit absolute positioning and push to the top. Alright. So we're going to leave a little space for signal and the rest, since we're not going to be adding signals here. Or you know what, let's add signal and see how that looks. So to add signal, just go over to asset and search for signal. Or let me search status. Alright, so for the status, let me just bring this inside of here. So we're going to remove the background. And then I'm going to change the color to white. Alright, and then we're going to have this at 375. And then I'm going to push this downward a bit, and then this is going to come inside of here, and this also is going to be in absolute positioning because it's going to be at the top, and then let's match this. Although this is looking too much, so I'm just going to reduce this a bit. The height should be like 44 something, and then So this is going to be like, let's leave this at so wherever it comes out, I'm just going to change this to 6 and see how this comes out. So for this, I'm just going to change this to like 60. All right, so this and this is just going to be 60, not like 80. All right, so this is how this looks. All right, so now let's quickly create like a side drawer for this. So the side drawer is just going to be here. So I'm just going to create like a little frame here. So this is also going to be like, we're going to call this side drawer. This is also going to assume the shape of our home page, which is like 375. So this is just going to be 40 and going to be 5. So I'm going to copy this and or let's copy this and paste inside of here. So I'm going to push this to the top. And then I'm going to change this to the close icon. And then this is where we need all of this. I'm going to copy this and just paste it inside of here. So this is going to be centered. We're going to change the layout to this, and the CTA is also going to be centered, and we're going to add it to the bottom. So this is what we want to recreate, and this is going to be all centered. And I'm going to make this an auto layout, and then we're going to fill this. So I'm going to change this to, okay, it's okay at 375. Then I'm just going to change this to 812. Then I might just like give it like a padding of like 20 top and bottom. So the gap should be like 40 or something. So let's just try like 20. So this is going to be at this side, and then this is also going to follow the padding. So this is going to be like 20. And then I'm going to increase this one after the other, and then change them to our greatest. And then this is just going to be like 32 each. And then the gap between them will be like 20. And then this is also going to be like this. So instead of having this as this, I'm just going to add this here. So this is just going to be contact us. So this is not going to look different. So this is what we currently have. We're just going to, let me, so normally this is supposed to like start displaying after here. So I'm just going to select this. So this is just going to be like 44. So from top there, it's just going to be like 44. So that it can be on the same height with this. So for now, we can just keep this as this. And then probably we might add like a little email contact info down here. But I think this looks okay for the side drawer. So if I'm to actually prototype this, here's what I'll just do. I'll just connect this to this, and then On top, this will be open overlay. And this is going to be top right. And then this is going to be moving. Yeah, so let's preview that and see how the thing how it moves in. Okay, it's very slow because it's like 10,000, so I'm just going to keep it at like 800. So this leads back to this. And then let me quickly set it. So, all right, let's try it again. Let me just change this to close overlay instead. All right, so this is exactly what we want. And yeah. So I'm going to remove the padding by the sides. And then I'm just going to add it inside of here. So, and this looks okay. Yeah, exactly. So this is what I want it to look like. So then when we now design other pages, we can now make them clickable. All right. So thank you for your time. I think we are done with this particular section. So the next page should be the about page. See you then.